Hello fellow makeup fiends and fellow horror fans. Welcome to today's 13 Days of Horror. Now as you can see, Lisa isn't here today. Unfortunately she's a bit of a poorly bear. She's in there next door. She's had the kind of flu and cold all day. So I'm just going to step in so that these videos keep continuing for the next few days. And I'm going to talk to you today about a little bit of my sort of fears and scares that I've had in my kind of life in terms of horror and stuff, which I hope you'll find enjoyable. Okay, and the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to take you back to my childhood, okay? And it's one of the things that really frightened me when I was a little boy, okay? And what that was is I was a great fan of the TV show called Thunderbirds, which obviously is still on TV today on certain channels. And one of the things that really used to scare me, one of my first things that really remembered that really used to scare me a lot was the image of the hood. Particularly when he used to open his eyes so that they glowed bright yellow. And what I used to do when I was a little boy, when that used to come on and the music kind of came on, I used to have to run behind the sofa and hide until the music stopped and I knew that he'd gone. I mean, I absolutely loved Thunderbirds for all the action and everything, but those bits when he was in used to freak me out completely and used to scare me to death, but I loved it anyway. So that's one of the things. And to be honest, even still today, I still consider the Hood to be one of the greatest villains, if you like, and horror kind of people of all time. Still freaks me out today. And I've got the Blu-ray box set, by the way. So that was number one. And obviously number two, just obviously as I got a little bit older and got a little bit stronger. Another thing that used to kind of scare me when I was, I guess I would have been about 11 or 12, I think it was in those days, well, possibly a little bit older, was a TV show that used to be on a Saturday evening on ITV around about 9 o'clock, which is a show called Thriller. I don't know if you're familiar with that TV show, but it aired for a good few weeks. But the main thing about it was it was the theme tune, okay, and it used to start very menacing, very short and sweet, but it used to kind of freak me out. And I remember that quite often I used to just, again, like run up the bedroom stairs and peer through the cracks within the railings while that piece of music was on. Found it very unnerving. But it's a great series, and if you ever dig that out, you'll be able to see some of these full episodes of Thriller on YouTube. And there's a particular good one which I can recommend, which is called Someone at the Top of the Stairs. So if you kind of go into YouTube, and I think Lisa's going to put a link below for that one, Somewhere at the Top of the Stairs, you'll see what I mean. It's a bit dated, but it's still a bit creepy. Very funny. Well, no, not funny. Very tense and enjoyable. But if you hear the music, you'll know what I mean, okay? And then obviously getting a little bit older, obviously these things that scare you when you actually get in your teenage years and stuff. Another one of my things that used to scare us a lot was obviously, and a great sort of horror icon, if you like, is the image of Christopher Lee as Count Dracula. I mean, obviously he is the Count Dracula, there's no question about it. And I remember again going back into my school years, I watched a movie at school which was called Dracula 1972 AD. And it had this particularly disturbing scene for me at the time, because I was only about 13, I think, of when Dracula was brought back to life, and the bloke kind of slit his wrists in the temple and brought Dracula to life. But obviously that image of Christopher Lee just is a classic sort of horror kind of scary thing, really. And I tried to convince myself that I wasn't scared of him, really, and that I enjoyed Count Dracula. And what I did was I actually went out and bought a poster of Count Dracula and put it on my bedroom wall. But the mad thing was is that when I went to sleep at night and I turned the lights off, it kind of seemed to glow, and he looked as though he was staring at me at the night like this, with his teeth like that. And it totally freaked us out, and I couldn't get to sleep because I could feel this Count Dracula kind of staring at us in the night. So it was only up on my wall for about 2 days, and I had to take it down because I just could not get to sleep. Anyway, that was another thing that scared me a lot. But again, Christopher Lee, well, even just in not just Count Dracula, but also in this character that he played called Fu Manchu. which was like a Chinese villain. Don't know if you've seen those movies as well, where he's like an oriental sort of power fiend. Very creepy as that, very effective as well. So he's a great horror actor, Christopher Lee. So that's number 3. And then the other thing that I guess kind of was generally sort of freaked us out, not just today, but in sort of like my teenage years and stuff, was horror movies and stuff which are about the devil and demonic possession. Lisa obviously likes a slasher, gore and all this kind of stuff, but I've always been more into the supernatural and the occult. Find that much more real, if you like, and disturbing. And so any kind of movies that have got the devil in or demonic possession are the ones that really kind of push my buttons, to be honest. And the 2 classic ones are obviously The Exorcist, yeah, and the other one for me is The Omen, obviously, which is the film about the child devil, yeah. And I think that the other thing about those 2 films which kind of link is the fact that there are children involved, and I do find obviously anything to do with children and demonic possession particularly disturbing. And obviously there's some really horrendous scenes in particularly The Exorcist with Linda Blair playing Reagan, yeah, where she's, you know, spewing the vomit and the other horrible things that she does in that film, which is just really mind-blowing, really. And I remember actually reading the book of The Exorcist before I'd even seen the film, and it just absolutely freaked me out. I just couldn't put it down, but I was totally scared as well. But it was kind of like so unnerving that I actually eventually had to see that movie. And, you know, I think it goes down as a classic, really. And similarly, like the Omen as well, it's a great book as well, fantastic book, and the movie itself is more of a suspense thing, but again it goes down as one of my greatest kind of films of all time. Oh yeah, and I guess the 3rd one, I guess, with the one about the demonic possession movie, the one that which kind of I did find disturbing, was the classic movie called The Shining. Obviously with Jack Nicholson as the crazed writer father. Just aware again that he gets kind of possessed again by the Overlook Hotel, and then goes on a mad rampage at the end, and he's obviously desperately trying to kill his wife and his little boy, which in itself is totally disturbing. Who'd want to do that, you know, like kill their lovely little kid? I mean, a great movie, again more of a thriller than it is a gore sort of horror kind of thing, but again, you know, that's just a classic movie again, which kind of does, you know, very kind of real in a way, the fact that you could just imagine this kind of thing happening, the fact that you get like locked away in this hotel and, you know, Mars from everywhere, and then you suddenly, mind goes crazy and you want to kind of kill your girlfriend and your kids. You know, for me that kind of thing is a lot more realistic than, you know, Freddy Krueger, for example, and Jason, or whatever you want to call these guys. But yeah, I love that movie as well. But obviously those kind of things are kind of frightening, disturbing, but enjoyable kind of in the same way. Yeah. So, and obviously that's it really. So that's just a little bit today. Sorry that you haven't got the full Lisa experience today, but I hope you've enjoyed sharing my little little blast from the past and some of my hopes and my fears that I've had throughout my life. Okay, thanks for watching. Bye bye. Oops. Oh.